Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Martin Wong. And in today, Trading Idea with SMARTRobie, we have seen the weekend. What was the weekend? I think all of you know, right? The US Dow Jones and all rebounded, but this morning it has given a little bit back. Of course, many news will play into it that they are still worried about Russia moving one step ahead using nuclear forces to deter the NATO from assisting Ukraine in here. That has caused a lot of unsettling into the stock market, but I think at the end of it, should Russia use nuclear forces, that will be the end of everything anyway, as we know that whether the EU or the American will retaliate with nuclear forces, then probably on very pessimistic outlook, then we may not have a market at all. But I don't think that is likely to happen because, like it or not, Russian, especially Vladimir Putin, is still pretty much like a Trump, right? It's pretty much like him, and I don't think he is playing bully. That's all. I don't think likely nuclear will be there. So no doubt the market volatility will maintain. But let's see what we have for you this morning in our headlines that we have. And of course, this morning headline, we are on our usual Monday on the Breakfast Show. We'll be looking at Pentagon Guide in here, and much will be focused on the news headline. That's right. Now, news headline, I think this morning many of you may have come across, is the higher retirement age. I think many of us are taking care of better health. We are moving to a more different zone with eating right, with investing right. And I'm sure we did talk about hitting your first million if you invest it right, and much has been said about it. And I do think that we are opting for what we call a mini retirement, where you can still invest, learn how to invest, learn how to extend your retirement, and also going forward to your 60s and still being very productive. That's what we talk about in here, and that's also aligned with what the government wanted people to do, because they do feel that with the costs and inflation going up, much of our money that we have is continued to be eroded. So that's why it's important to learn how to invest the money that you need, and definitely we need multi-source of income. Having said that, so all being said in here, the consensus reported that above 60 years old will made up about 10% in here compared to 8% if we go back to 2020 in 2010. So which means we are getting more and more older people. Much of the expenses and budget will be dedicated to taking care of the aged and senior. You and me, myself, we will reach this age soon. But most importantly, that we have sufficient funds to retire comfortably and not relying too dependent on our young children today. That's right, isn't it? The older generation that we have is dependent on the children, but that's why a lot of children don't want to have the younger children don't want to have any kids at all. They don't want to have baby because they've seen what are their forefathers and how much they have to support their older generation. That has become a burden to them. So let's move into something more positive, which is the CPO prices. Now, the plantation continue to move higher, as we've seen in the market in here. Pretty much, I've talked about it, plantation, almost a month ago, and we'll be looking some of the past winner that we have for plantation, like SOP, which has gone up very significant in here. So this news talks about the impact of Russian invading Ukraine, and much of it will lead to higher CPO prices, or at least maintaining it to be higher in here. And what he also said that the weather will also has another play into it, and pretty much of the palm oil import will be filled by India. That's right. So this news also go on to talk about what we have seen right now, and from the onslaught of the first green pentagon that we see here, right, and we have it here, was this chart here. You could see right at the beginning here, which is somewhere in 6th of February, we did have a green pentagon charts moving higher in here, and as such the market has pulled back in here. But all being said, I think the plantation stock has done a bit overrun, just like what we've seen on the crude oil prices. Take some profit, okay? Take some profit in here. I know some of you are starting to come into the CPO plantation sector, looking at stocks that we talk about, TSH, SOP in here, but do be careful and not fall into the same trap that you had previously for the rubber glove sectors. If you do take a short-term trade, trade maybe less than 2 weeks, and if the market fail to rally that you see, then you want to exit it. It's always easy to trade on the super trending market in here, but do be careful if the market were to turn here. So all it's been said is the cost of fertilizer will also add into the CPO prices. Right now, everything seems to be very good with the market. So none of this negative news or bad news will have any impact on CPO price. It is moving up on a nice trend in here. Now back to engineering company called SAM Engineering. The news talks about air travel as the economic reopening, more ordering of Boeing and Airbuses that has increased their third quarter profit. Now remember, SAM Engineering is on two segments, the semiconductors as well as diversifying to the aerospace industry, right? Main income was hit as client reduced aircraft production in here, but now that the market is moving, this is way back in here. If I do hope that many of you could share this video in your timeline, that more people can enjoy the information that I'm presenting for them. Now on the chart wise, you could see this market is holding up at around $22. This stock has really gone up by a fair bit in here, moving between $22 and $24 in here. So SAM Engineering has really made up a move on. At this point onwards, I do believe a stock split, and remember Genin Tech, after the stock split, the stock has pretty much gone back to a normalized rate in here. And as always been, be careful to chase momentum. If you're going to chase momentum, make sure you're able to take quick profit and always ready to cut loss and move on to the next one here. So on the SAM Engineering in here, the third quarter financials has increased by 24%, and it's also currently fueled by very, very good news that we've seen for SAM Engineering. So take note of this one. So let's also switch to the market that we have right now. And so far what we have seen here, only plantation stocks on our KLSE TradeVSA.com chart here. And right now you could see this foreign funds all still green. Yeah, means they are still coming in here, so no surprises why this morning we have seen everything also green. Does that mean they are moving into a lot of plantation stock? But be careful, anytime around here the 1610, a lot of absorption of volume in it. There's going to be two likely things going to happen: either the market break higher here, or it's going to make a upthrust and U-turn back. Right now, if you look back at the chart that we have on the KLCI here, right, you will see you've seen a couple of upthrusts, the market's retesting back. And be careful should it form another double bottom and what we call a mushrooming over. That is something that we are fearful should the market correct some more here. Okay, and going to the next story that we have for you is on Public Bank. We all know Public Bank is one of the strong in terms of financial institution in Malaysia in here, and let's take a look what they has to offer. So Public Bank talks about, despite the challenges they have seen with the COVID-19, which have been talking for many months and years leading to it, they have done pretty well, and Public Bank right now it's all-time high. Nonetheless, this news talks about the 16% on core lending and deposit. People are really putting more money. So you can see from this chart, they did have a green pentagon at 425, continued to hit high. But the one that really significant was this one, where we have this what we call cluster of closes. The market took off and started to move up from $4 to 425, maybe now 440. Let's take a look at this morning. Where is Public Bank is? Now, if you ask me, is Public Bank is something that you want to buy and trade? The answer, short answer would be no. It's something, a stock that you want to invest in a longer term. It's a very strong bank, and having said that, the trend is still getting to be strong. No doubt it hasn't turned green pentagon yet, but I do think that eventually this will turn up. If it's 441 already, up 10% since the last time we said at $4 in here. So that's a pretty good run from here onwards, and who knows, right? Could this take to $5? Of course, check out the VSA 360 for any of the analyst target prices in here. But also, if you do look at the exit strategy for Public Bank, check it out over here, and you would have R1 443, which is almost there, and 473. R2 is 473, which is another 8% up move from what we had on last Friday here. Okay, let's move on to our next story. is on Kenangan. Now, Kenangan registered a second best performing year at 118 million on profit after tax inside here. It's one of the independent financial institution in here, which doesn't really have a bank, but it's more of an investment bank, and they're doing pretty well with their collaboration with Rakuten in here. And the stockbroking business for 2021 did very well, but for 2022, it is going to be depend on pretty much what we've seen, the volume that we have so far. So on the stock wise, the charts has really moved up from the green pentagon in here, and let's take a look at the market right now. Kenangan, okay, on this story, you would see that Kenangan is up. Okay, that was let's look at the livestock prices in here. It's almost unchanged at 131, and this stock talks about the profit before tax was increased to 148 million as compared to last year 112. So it is maintaining on a very good sustaining, and they're also moving into a robo advisory license. So it is pretty much in the growing sector that it is. Now let's turn our attention to the US market. All right. Now the US market front here, let me just all right, the US stock, which I've talked about just now, has plunged due to the worry of Russian moving up one notch above using nuclear on the Ukraine soil in here, or at least against the EU. So a lot of the time, do take note that the stock will always react, but it's gone up because the market has gone up almost 800 points on Dow Jones. So it is going through correction that we see right now. So it's no surprises why the news that we see right now. The news is always try to make up a story to justify the price action. And right now we do have a 3% drop on the futures of the Nasdaq, and that's why they are saying that they are a bit worried on this. But I do think that the market has pretty much stabilized in here. I'm looking to buy at this point. Of course, I want to look at a very good, nice trade setup in here. And something that we talk about over the weekend is the wicks. So the Ukraine is meeting on the Russian on the peace talk. It will be one first of the many meetings that we've seen. So that's right, the market's likely going to move sideways from here, and it's a bit very tension. So you can see from the S&P 500 on the chart that we have here, we are on the red pentagon, hasn't done green pentagon yet, and it hasn't still pretty much in the downtrend that you see in here. So this kind of rebound, do take note, maybe a bit too early. As I said before, the Nasdaq index futures has dropped 3% in here. So ensure that you know that it's a nice support before you want to take any position at all. Now on the US stock on particular is AMD. A story that was picked up by Barron's is that AMD stock is rising, investing is cheering more buybacks. So AMD is doing a lot of buybacks. Let's take a look at the chart we have here. All right, but do wait for the green panel. Right now it's a very nice base. You can see it's a double bottom here, volumes coming back. That's very nicely in here, 120 in here. Do wait for the green pentagon in here, and remember, it's not going to be one of those stocks is going to pick up and start to run out. You need to give it a bit more room for the market to retest back the old high, at least at 130, a little bit of pullback. Having said that, the setup, it's very nice. And if you do see a recovery in the technology or semiconductors, so this is the right spot to be buying right now for the longer term trade in here. All right, I like the AMD setup in here, and also check out the US 500 S&P 500 Robie stock for, if you go down Pentagon Guider, and right on top on the left hand side here, you can see right at the bottom, latest US S&P 500 Pentagon, and you can click on that one. That will take you to this website, and it does show you a lot of the oil and gas sector, like MRO was Marathon, second was Hess Corporation, this is a S&P 500, Newcom, I think it's a steel, ExxonMobil was up 25%. So check out some of the setup that we talk about when the market turn green pentagon, and when there's a nice trend behind it where there is a surge in the sector, right? So right now the sector of technology hasn't moved yet, the sector of the consumer staple hasn't moved up yet in here, but check it out on the VSA 360 to see some of those sectors started to move up. Then you will see a lot of the green pentagon will pick up in here too. Of course, not all are winner, and you can look right now, some of these are very Nvidia, which did had a return of minus 1.34%. It was, we did talk about it, Nvidia had a good quarter also on the earnings in here, but because of the sector, which is the technology or the semiconductor being infected, it hasn't really been very favorable for the oil and gas. Okay. Now the next story is on SGX. So let's turn our attention to SGX in here. So we have stock to watch is Olam, Yanlong, and Elite Commercial REITs. But what I really want to talk about here is the one of the technology stocks. Okay, now you notice from here is the STI, the Singapore Times Index in here, had a green pentagon and fell below the 3,375 level in here. So I think this morning, if I just go back to SMARTRobie and check out where is SGX, definitely you can see the market STI market index is telling me it's down 1%. That's right, it's down 1% in here, and there are many other stocks. So Thai beverage is it's back to 67, is one of the most active in here, and the other ETFs are pretty much up, so you can check out from top here. But the story that I want to talk about is the Keppel DC REITs, which is on data center. Again, it is also moving in tandem with technology. If we do see technology, but this does pose a very nice so-called stage 1 accumulation. It does have a green pentagon, so pay a bit of attention on the Keppel DC REITs. This is something that that I like, and I have it in here. So it does has a little bit exposure to the tech side in here, not the kind of oil and gas, not the kind of steel that we've seen in aluminium prices in here. So check out this stock in here, which is the Keppel DC REITs, AJBU. And at the same time, you can also go to SGX, go to Robie chart, and go over to Pentagon chart, and to look at some of the Pentagon winner for the SGX in here. Just switch it over here, and you can see most of this again are oil and gas. S56 is a shipping, Bumi Amada is commodities. You got a Joe Energy in here, does give a 23% return, and RH. So like it or not, the Malaysian oil and gas already moved, but now they're pulling back. We have the Plantation stock now is really in going parabolic. So remember, anything that goes parabolic, always take a little bit of profit. Okay, we know about that, and it's no surprises for some of our members in here continue to know this. Okay, now for those of you who have a couple of stocks that you want me to look at, just pencil those in your comment. I'm happy to look into that for you in here. And do thank you for coming today. All right, let's move on to our next story in here is our Pentagon. Okay, on the Pentagon, winner that we've seen so far in the past is SOP BJ Food. So let's get out from here and go back to SGX, go to KLSE, and we go on to the Pentagon Guider. That's right. Now, so our Pentagon Guider in here will have a good take of some of the winners that we have. Of course, right at the bottom here, Pentagon winner SOP continue to make headwind, and Ta'an, right, all the plantation stocks. Okay, now if you look back, some of these plantation has done a bit of overrun. Let me just pull it back for you and show you what I mean here, so you can move on to SOP. And we're still waiting for the trading view to respond. Yep, here we got it. And this is what we mean from here. Trading view, take it from the old bottom. This is our peak value new indicator, and for our members, you should get hold of this in here. From this green pentagon, which is on the 28th of January when you first pick up, you can see this pick up here, and today is up 5% and up 9%. And this is what I talk about, where you've seen the earnings result is out. Okay, and it's banking on this good news. Do take note. Don't try to go in here. Do take profit in here. The market is turning parabolic in here. And also on climatic volume. Climatic volume, just a few more days are likely to turn back down in here, and that's what the main concern in here. Nobody expected this, right? But you could have picked it up through our green pentagon from here onwards, and a couple of them are very similar to is also Genting Plantation. And you can see right at the bottom, continue to move up all your plantation stocks, which I've shared with you earlier on. The market did pull back a couple of days ago and pull back. If you do want to trade, wait for the kind of pullback, at least your risk to reward are much better. Because if you do buy on chasing this, if a market were to turn, you need to exit. Okay, very important in here. So let's talk about the tickets that is available for our March conference. 2022 is our YCOF VSA, the new path to it. We have 2 international speakers in here, and that's the QR code for our up and coming market conference in here. Something that we are organized for all the public and also for our members in here. A small fee to pay, but definitely a lot of benefit that you will learn in here. So check it out on the QR code, and you can get that tickets too. Now the new feature is our watches in here. What we have added today is Hong Leong Industry. That's right, Hong Leong Industry is the new stocks that we are added in for this week here into our watch list. And let's take a look at Hong Leong Industry. And you can see in here did pull back, and it did have a green bangle and a pullback here, and today it's holding up at the 5% level in here. So what we're going to do next is to go on to setting up, right, the upper bound and lower bound. Okay, the upper bound and lower bound. Go to watch list here. That will be likely our profit target. That will be our Pentagon Guide February list. That's right. So we see here Uchitech. Let's take a look at Falco. That's the stock that we have for this month. There you can see it only fell this morning when we first started talking about Falco. I think there was a couple of 11, I think this month here, when the green pentagon here, you can see move up nicely. We have Uchitech. Let's see, Uchitech has some nice pick up from here. Yep, it did pick up last week, up 2%. But today, of course, anytime when it breaks up like that, there's a pullback here. You can see that's pretty nice one. Hong Leong Industry. Okay, Hong Leong Industry, that's the one we are picking up. So let's set the upper bound and lower bound, which is the support and resistance. Now we just go to the Hong Leong, which is the, actually, if you look up here, this is one of the Pentagon in here, 3301. Click that one, and I will set up the trading plan. So we are looking at 976. Yep, 976 for shorter term, and for our exit 987, and the weekly support is about $9. I think $9 is around here. Yep, $9, and 975 for the old high. Yep, we can do that for shorter term here. So let's go to watch list and go on to February, and you can see hit this one, and we want to edit. So we want to do with the upper bound, which is 987, and the lower bound is 9 ringgit. Okay, so we set this one here. This will be our February 28 trade idea. Okay, and if you look back, Falco, when did we have it? We can edit this. Okay, view history, still waiting here. Okay, the Falco, we did set it. Okay, we did set this one, Uchitech. Okay, let's set up for Uchitech too, shall we? Okay, let's set up for Uchitech, because we will do a. Okay, let's go over to Uchitech. We can set up for Uchitech here, upper bound and lower bound. Let's do one more example here. And the trading level here will be, we'll take maybe 345. Okay, 345 for the upper bound. Coming back to here, and then okay, and then we go on to the exit strategy. that will be the 295. All right, 295 for the weekly support, just on top of me here. Switching to 295. So we're going to go on to 295 and 340. So let's go to our February list here. We'll set the alert. Okay, the top one is 3. Okay, Uchi tag is 345 and maybe $3. Okay, 345 and yep, $3. Just to confirm from a chart, $3 will be the one, and then this will be the trade idea for Uchi Tech, which we actually pick it up on the 11th of February. Okay, we save the alert in here. All right, so that would be our setup that we have in here, and now we're going to move on to our weekly stock review. Now, if you have a couple of stock review that you want me to look at, feel free to put, pencil those in there. I'm happy to look at them. All right, if there's no stocks to look at, we will close our session in here, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube for our latest talk that we have in here, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Now remember, Wednesday we also have another special talk which will continue from the US and Malaysia side in here, and we'll be looking at the difference between trading and investing. All right, I'll see you on Wednesday night, but before that, wish you all the best. Bye bye.